All right, we have a very, very small delay on YouTube, but we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first time, we are doing this as e-gamers, our very, very first live stream. I'm here with Jamie Thomson and the Dark Lord, who is also called Jamie Thomson. What are the odds? Okay, welcome, guys.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much, George. Thank you for having us
Thank you,
here.
puny humans. Welcome to the live broadcast.
It's an honor
I shall
to have
reveal
you
the
guys.
true horror. Even more. Yes, thank you, inferior Jamie.
Welcome, Dark Lord. Oh, look, you've got a map behind you combined with the VulcanVerse map, just to throw us off and confuse everyone.
That's a Where the Tiger map, and that's the other one over there is another world map from actually an MMO plan way back in the 90s that never got made.
What? Fable? No, that's not Fable Lands.
No, it's a thing called Abraxas, which was just another project that never got off the. Well, it did for a bit, but didn't get the funding we needed. But that's the Where the Tiger Gamebooks, yeah.
So, guys, if you have any questions, just comment on YouTube. We will see them and gather them, answer them by the end. So, Jamie from VulcanVerse. Let's
Superior, yes.
Let's talk
Inferior
about
Jamie.
inferior Jamie. Let's talk about Vulcan Forged. What is Vulcan Forged?
Vulcan Forged is, it's a blockchain, it's a game studio now. I mean, we started out as just like a bit of a small digital art NFT site called Veriarty. And then as we found more and more games started coming to us and of course, you know, a bit more funding came in and we got a bit more developed and successful. We rebranded ourselves into Vulcan Forged. Now the idea was that Vulcan, well, he was a god of forging. And we always use this word forge for making our NFTs. Instead of minting or creating NFTs, we forge NFTs. And so the idea of sort of Vulcan forging came about and we changed it to Vulcan Forge just to sound cooler. And then before we knew it, it was this big company and we just had to sort of keep up with all the games joining. So so we make games, we support games. We have an NFT marketplace, which has over, I think, $15 million volume now. So that's how fast things have shot up. Good. And VulcanVerse is obviously our big poster child project, which is, I'm sure we'll come to in a minute. So yeah, that's where we're at.
That's great to hear. So I think you guys started out as an art project. Am I correct that?
Yeah, Veriarty, yeah.
Veriarty. Well, that explains the graphics and all the Vulcanites and that stuff. They're pretty artistic.
Yes, that's right.
Now let's stay to Vulcan Forged. How many people work for Vulcan Forged, like full time? You guys are established where?
Yeah. Well, there's 9 of us in-house in our Greek office, which is coincidental because you guys are from Greece and we're just over the sea near Athens. So there's 9 of us in-house. There's 30 of us total working on everything Vulcan Forge and VulcanVerse, including the scumbag Jamie you're about to talk to in the
Superior Jamie.
Sorry, Superior, yes.
But I count as 2 people at least.
Well, 4 through the dead skulls behind you,
Yes, man's got to eat.
So there's 30 of us, around 30 of us working on Vulcan Forge, based in Greece.
All right. So where do you see this project going in the future? Like, you're gonna be an incubator for community-made games, or are we going to see companies bringing games on Vulcan Forge? Where are you heading?
Sure. Well, we're planning on buying out Apple by the end of the year. And no, we're actually.
You hear that first.
Yes.
Just buy an apple. Yeah. Have it for lunch.
We incubate games already. We've got some games called Coddle Pets, Block Babies, and Wreck City. All these different games. We do incubate them, so we enable them to them. They make their NFTs with us, and they just lock up a few of our token. and we just give them access to the marketplace. So, and we do offer funding to any games that sort of want to get involved. To be honest, the whole crypto stuff is really secondary to us. You know, it's just, you know, it's not really it's not fun for us. We just like making games and sort of, you know, just helping developers out. So yeah, in a nutshell, we do accelerate games. And where do I see us? Yeah, other than world total domination, probably, yeah, I think VulcanVerse will be.
Enslavement of mankind.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Enslaving
on the
all
mission
Jamies.
Yes.
All other Jamies to be beneath me, and then I'll have achieved.
No, we'll enslave all mankind, surely.
Oh, so we're on the same side.
Is that true?
Well, you'll be below me, obviously, but
right. Okay. Fine.
You'll be second in command. You'll have to do all the work. I'll mostly just sit around like Baron Harkonnen from Dune, eating stuff.
But the second in command are the most dangerous, of course. You never know when we're going to
Yes,
come.
of course.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Second in command overtakes. That happens frequently.
Yeah.
Supplanter, which actually I think Jamie does mean the supplanter in Greek history or something. So
working out. I think James does. I think in
James.
Is it in Greek or in Hebrew? Anyway, yeah.
Well, either way, it's all written out your demise.
Like Kronos.
Jamie. Let's talk about your flagship game, which it's the first thing I saw when it comes to Vulcan Forged, and I mean VulcanVerse, right? I have an MMORPG background for like, I don't know how many years in my life. I was playing Lineage for 10 years, 12. I was playing World of Warcraft. So when I see MMORPGs, you know, I like that stuff. And VulcanVerse is a virtual world, but it's way much different than what Decentraland or Somnium Space or CryptoVoxels or whatever I've seen in the blockchain gaming industry until today. It's a virtual world with NFT land ownership, but it's still a game that has a deep lore behind this. So you should stick with the game. You own the land, but you have to build that stuff specifically.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I think we are the first. I think we are anyway. We're the first sort of blockchain game to really sort of bridge those two worlds of MMO.
You are one of the first, yes.
One of the first, yeah. With blockchain ownership, and of course, you know, we got writers like Jamie and Dave Morris, some other writers, which gave us a real head start in shaping the world, because we could have made the technology to be another Decentraland or Voxel Land or whatever, and allow people to build jeeps on deserts and what have you. But when we got the stories and you know, the lore, the backing, and you realize you could divide the world into 4 quadrants, once you have that Greek sort of mythology story behind you, then you realize that actually it doesn't limit you. It allows you to be far more creative, you know, because you can sort of add the gods and the Olympians and the Titans and these Vulcanites and these creatures, magic spells. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I was a little wary about moving into like a very limited fantasy-based decentralized world to start with, but it turned out to be the best decision ever, because you actually gave you more flexibility than it would do just having an open world, build absolutely whatever you want. So, yeah, we are aiming to bridge those two worlds.
So how's VulcanVerse is going to be, guys? Like, are we going to have classes like warriors, archers, monsters? What can you build in VulcanVerse, since you have to follow with the lore?
Well, Jamie, why don't Jamie tell you about the lore a little bit? So there's like
sure. So, the quadrants had already been kind of created. Jamie had already made the VulcanVerse.
Telling quadrants, we mean territories, right?
Yeah. So the lands divided that you can, the NFT lands that you can buy are divided into 4 quadrants. And early on, the Greco myth lore area was decided on, and I sort of built on that by bringing those places to life. And that's Hades, Arcadia, the deserts, which are sort of Greco-Egyptian-y deserts, and the mountains where all the mountain nymphs live, and the minotaurs and the cyclopes. And actually, it's been a lot of fun doing all the Greek lore, because I started life way back when on a Games Workshop magazine called White Dwarf. Are you guys aware of Warhammer? So that was way back when, and a long time ago, and we were sort of creating game books in those days, like Choose Your Own Adventure game books, Way of the Tiger, Fighting Fantasy, Fabled Lands. And that was all that sort of sub-Tolkien, orcs, goblins, And I'd begun with Greek mythology when I was a young boy, and then it all got taken over by all this Warhammer stuff and Warcraft stuff, and today it's goblins, orcs. And so it's like rediscovering a whole beautiful, rich mine of fantastic stories and myth from the ancient Greeks and the Romans. Stuff that was almost rediscovering it completely. And so it gives it a whole, bizarrely, even though the Greek myths have been around for a long time, they've sort of been forgotten a bit, and they're having a resurgence. Like there are other computer games now that are like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Hades that are picking this mythology because it's so rich and now feels new. So I'm writing all the backgrounds for the various Vulcanites and some of the stuff in the card game and giving them little backstories. And so we're taking Greek mythology, reworking it and putting it out with a big tranche of kind of humor, but also dark sort of evil stuff. And it's great fun creating the background. And then me and Jamie mentioned Dave Morris earlier. We're writing some game books set in the VulcanVerse too. So the VulcanVerse will be the MMO. There'll be game books. There's a CCG card game, except of course some of the cards are NFTs, obviously. And there's also the auto battler, and we might do novels later. So Jamie's vision is good in that sense of trying to get as many different spin-offs and media platforms that you put your IP on to get as much of in many ways the game books that we're writing. So game books are like a 1980s phenomenon. They were huge there, and they're sort of having a kind of retro comeback now because they're paper and pencil computer games in the form of a book. So we're writing. Yes.
What is a game book?
What do we mean
when we say game book?
So it's kind of like something from this is Choose Your Own Adventure is very big in America. Fighting Fantasy was very big in Britain, and there were various spin-offs like that. This map back here is the Way of the Tiger game books, which are ninjas in Middle-earth. But a typical game book might consist of 400 numbered paragraphs. Paragraph 30 might say, you enter the chamber of the Goblin King. If you have the sword of Goblin King slaying, turn to paragraph 105. If you want to run away, turn to paragraph 402. And then you roll dice to see, you have stats like skill or combat.
All right. So we're talking gaming through a book.
Yeah.
Right. So we're taking this now and evolving it into the VulcanVerse world.
Yeah. And these are really open world game books that you can go anywhere in. And so one book might be Hades, another book might be Arcadia, and you can travel between books. So it might say if you want to get a ship, a trireme and sail to Arcadia, turn to paragraph 105 in the Arcadia book. So they all cross over as a massive game book, 5-book extravaganza, which is going to be huge. And some of these
talking about 5 books.
Yeah, in the end.
All right.
And there are certain Kickstarters for these open world game books that have been launched recently that are raising $250,000 to make a single game book because there's so many people that want them now. It's very strange because when computer games came along, they kind of destroyed the game book industry in a way, publishing. But now there's this sort of resurgence, a retro fascination with, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why, but because that's just one aspect of the whole VulcanVerse thing. So we can take all the lore that we've written for the VulcanVerse world, and we can set these game book adventures in them. And we're also planning, hopefully, which I want to talk to Jamie about later a bit further, is to have things that you can go into the MMO, so virtual world, and you can pick up a code word or some other information that will unlock a section in the game book, and vice versa. So they sort of cross over in an interesting kind of way. So if you really want to finish the game book, it helps if you play the MMO and back and forth and link it all up.
Let me understand here. So we are talking about separate virtual game books that will accompany
the game books will actually be published as paper and pencil. Well, when I say paper and pencil, that's what you normally write in the book. So the book will have a character sheet, and you'll write on it what your skills are, what the items are that you pick up. You'll read the book, and it's a game book, so you will roll dice. The book will say things like, to if you want to talk your way out of this situation with the Cyclops who is threatening you, roll some dice, and you will have a charm value, which is your you'll also have a strength value and a cunning stat. So these will actually be published books, and we're going to publish them in Britain and in English, I should say, and French, German, and Italian. So they'll be normally we would put them as publish them and sell them online through Amazon or Book Depository, and also from the VulcanVerse site. So they'll cross over with the virtual world. And so the books are a way, basically in a sense, an advert to go to the virtual world of the MMO. Back and forth.
Well, it's not, I mean, that sounds like we're getting you to write them for cheap marketing, which of course we are, but we couldn't say that live. but without Jamie's law and without sort of, the way it works, George, it's an interesting process, because we need a creature. And you know, we need to, so we say to Jamie, you know, okay, we've got Desert of Notus, we need a level 3 creature out of the 7, because you need the right level land in order to bring your creature out and play with it. So he comes up with like the creature's name, creature idea, like he'll come up with like a spider or a nymph or a dryad, and he'll give it this name and this quote and the level. And then we send it to the artist, and you know, Jimmy X, who's this incredible ZBrush sculptor, he makes it, and then we send it to the animators, and they animate it. So it actually does start, you know, the story, you know, it starts with that fool's ramblings over in England, and then we sort of take it from there.
Well, it's quite important that the lore all makes sense and fits together. So I can then take the creatures that we're creating in the VulcanVerse and put them in the books. And they have their own interactions between each other, and then that can feed back into the VulcanVerse. Eventually, hopefully, they will appear as creatures doing stuff in the MMO world, and then I guess it slowly will grow to become the kind of thing. I don't know if you'll ever have character classes so much as a game where you're wielding Vulcanites that you control, and you can send them against other Vulcanites, and to steal stuff from each other and things like that. But that's still evolving at the moment. Jamie will know more about how the game will develop, but I'll still be doing all of the backstory to it all. Because my background is Gamebooks. I've written about 30 of them, published all over the world. It's a German Fabled Lands game book, you know, and then I've done all these novels, comedy novels about a Dark Lord going to school in England, cursed into the body of a 13-year-old child, which is quite a laugh. Won the Roald Dahl Funny Prize, which is cool. And I also worked on computer games like Fable, and I had my own computer games company for a while. So I suppose I'm saying I know what I'm doing, I guess.
I think so, Dark Lord. So any hints on the lore? I mean, we're talking about 5 game books. Like, what is going to be the content? It's the Quadrant?
Well, I was just writing today that you have to, you know, the story of Prometheus.
Yes,
the
Prometheus.
Who created, well, in one version creates mankind, but he's imprisoned by Zeus for his crimes in Tartarus, where his liver is eaten every day by an eagle.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm going to do that to my nephew, Jamie, one day. Inferior Jamie will be strapped down and his liver eaten every day. But anyway, I'm just writing a sequence where you have to rescue him, because there are going to be these 3 factions. I don't want to say too much, but it's an open world where you can travel anywhere in the books, as it were. In the game books, a paragraph number becomes a location sometimes. So you'll have the City of the Dead in Hades, and that's a paragraph you go back to. It's hard to describe without you playing it. As you have to think of it as a computer game in paper and in pencil and print form, in paper and print form. But anyway, so there are these 3 factions. The Titans. Well, the basic premise is, as in the MMO VulcanVerse, that the Olympian gods are asleep. That mankind worships them no more, and they've lost most of their powers, except for Vulcan, or Hephaestus, as he would be in the Greek version. But the Hephaestus verse doesn't have the same ring as it as the VulcanVerse. Yeah. So, but he is the god of technology, and so he's kind of done the Greek god thing of learning how the internet works and how to code things, and he's created a sort of virtual Olympus which is the idea. So he wants to bring his brothers and sisters back, awaken them from their long sleep so that they may take over the new Olympus. But the Titans are also asleep, and there was once a great war between the Titans and the Olympians, which the Olympians won, and the Titans think of this as their chance to come back. And then there's the human faction. So the three factions, and that's the kind of overarching storyline of the books, and then you have to choose which faction you side with, whether you get blessed by. And you start as if...
And that's great for us because, you know, we've obviously, you know, we started with the Olympians and Titans, and these are gods you have in the game. These are NFTs too. There are like, there are 100 of each god. So you can own like a Zeus or Kronos or Aphrodite or Ares, and they all have different buffs they give you in VulcanVerse, like extra speed. Hermes gives you extra speed. And of course, Jamie's writing this sort of, what was the name of it? When the Titans and Olympians fought, Titanic or Titanic?
Yeah, Titan. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but Titanic.
Well, yeah,
the War of the Titans.
The War of the Titans and Olympians. So we knew that Jamie was writing this in the book. So every time, you know, the point is, every time we delve more into the Greek mythology, we get more game ideas. So, you know, as soon as we introduced the Olympians, we thought, well, okay, they can give buffs to your character in the world, and it can speed you up. And then, oh, why don't we do a war between the Titans and Olympians in a whole separate game? So we're making that game now, a complete separate game to VulcanVerse. So yeah, so it was a real good choice going with Greek mythology because it opened up a massive array of different types of games and characters and MMO gameplay that Jamie and I can sort of bounce off with each other in the gameplay and the books.
And that's reflected in the game books, where the stats that you have because basically it's a single player computer game in book form. So you create your character at the beginning, and you have stats. So the stats are also coming off Ares. Stat is strength. Apollo stat is charm, which is, you know, tricking people. Ingenuity is Athena, who's the goddess of wisdom, and Apollo is charm, and I've forgotten one already. Ingenuity, charm, strength.
I still don't know the names. Yeah,
Grace, that's it. Yeah, Grace is kind of dexterity, which is like Artemis. So the gods and they send you into the VulcanVerse to free the old Olympian gods. You sort of have the blessings.
Yes.
Or is it them? Or is there someone else masquerading as them? Anyway, it's been really great doing all the Greek mythology. Like, I have these massive flow charts, which will look rather... And so these are all the flow charts. Yeah, these are all the choices that you make. Like, it'll say, if you want to travel down the river Styx, turn to paragraph 502. If you want to head west from the river, turn to paragraph 25. And then if you want to, you know, you have all these dice rolls you have to make, and they become very complicated. And it includes things like the river Acheron, the ghost of Agamemnon, the shrines to Artemis. You meet a painter in Hades, Apelles, who was a real... And there's a quest for the Eye of Typhon. There's so much good stuff in Greek mythology.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. It's a very deep. The Greek mythology contains a lot of stuff, and I have to say that what is the name of the Minotaur?
Asterion.
Yeah, that one is great. Well, congratulations to the 3D artists first of all.
Oh, he's a beast. Yeah,
he's good.
Dark Lord, I'm looking forward to read Asterion's lore and all that stuff because I come from Crete, so I grew up with Minotaur.
Well, yes, you know, there's a Minotaur's cave in Boreas, you know. That's one of
Labyrinth. Well, there's a city. It's going to be a city.
Boreas is a territory in VulcanVerse, right?
So it's the what? Yeah, you can't see it. It's the mountain lands, because what we did is we had like 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers to use. Of course, there were 10,000 plots of land, but we had these red parts of land which weren't NFTs. It couldn't be owned. So we could decorate them with how we wanted. So we had this UK company, Spark Labs they were called, very big CGI company. We basically said, here's your red blocks. We want some landmarks here. I think Jamie named the landmarks. I don't know if he came up with the actual ideas. Maybe he did, Minotaur's Cave or whatever. So we came up. Yeah, probably. So it was the Cyclops. There's a Cyclops Cave and a Minotaur's Labyrinth. That's right. And so, you know, so I got Flare, yeah. So up in Boreas, yeah, you can see it on the map there. Obviously,
yeah, this is the map on the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna put it here.
Obviously,
although that's actually incorrect. The mountains of Uria, it says there.
Oh, it's Boreas now. Yeah, we changed that.
And Boreas is the god of the north wind, so he kind of lives in the middle of Boreas, and he's one of the gods that is still awake.
But obviously, the game isn't that 2D map. I mean, we've got, you know, the game is live now in alpha. You can see these landmarks up in 3D, and they are incredible. I mean,
they are.
The good thing about having lots of different teams doing things they specialize in is that everyone's kind of good at what they do. You know, we're not trying to bite off more than we can chew here. You know, we are delegating, you know, art stuff to art people, writing to writing people, and I just sort of piss about on the keyboard most of the day, really.
Buying apples.
Buying apples.
And plotting to kill his uncle.
How many quadrants are out right now?
4 quadrants. Four quadrants. 3. Arcadia, Notus, and Hades. We've just finished playing. So, you know, a couple of hundred people have been running around those 3 quadrants, ruining everything, destroying our servers, and complaining, which is perfect for an alpha. And they're in Boreas next week. And then after that week, we launch our enormous networking system, which means we're basically in beta mode. And we are going to do Arcadia one more time with everything working as it should do, with blockchain and the fighting systems and everything which we've been doing while they've been exploring the other quadrants. So we're only a few weeks out now for the full launch, and obviously there's going to be some, you know, hiccups and some development and. But that's the idea. So in the scheme of things, we've gone quite quickly. I mean, we only really started in September, October, and it's 7 months down the line. And we've gone quite fast. So May is when we're looking at the sort of the official release, which we'll call beta for several years to cover our asses if everything goes badly.
Early access, as they say.
Early access. Even though it's full access, anyone can join. We'll just say, well, this is beta, my friend, you know.
Yeah, well, early access, you can keep that tag for many years. Like, I remember with Mako, a team member of eGamers, we were playing Rust, if you know Rust. Rust was for a few years in early access. It was like fully completed, but still early access. So you can keep that tag. And so, Jamie, I remember that a few days back, I joined the Hate Quadrant. And it was like hell, really.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's the idea. Actually, we're on the fence a little bit, really, because it is a bit too dark and red sky-ish, and I don't know. It was fun for a little bit, but after a while, you do need it. You do need the sun, well, not the sun, but you need a bit more light there, and so it's trying to get that.
It can never be too dark.
Yeah,
put some more rivers of blood in. That's what you need.
River of blood, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we need. So, guys, saying Hades as an example, what can I build in Hades if I own a land plot that I can't build in Arcadia, for example, or in some other, or it's just the design that changes?
No, it's the assets, and it's not only the assets; it's the level of assets as well. So in Hades, for example, level 1, you can build rotten trees and cemeteries and decaying rocks, like the things you were given.
I can build a cemetery.
Yeah, you have the tombstones.
Can I charge for the stones and that stuff, and for the priests?
Yeah. We'll come on. It's funny you say that, because we literally just announced our Vulcan store where people can actually design assets for the quadrants. The thing is, it's a bit centralized in the fact that we have to okay it. You can't just open some XXX store in the middle of Vulcan City. It's got to be fit the tech and the theme. But yeah, you can in theory make your own cemetery for level 3 or something, Hades, and if we okay it, you can sell it on. But the Hades assets are underworld assets. Fire and tombstones and brimstone and all that stuff. And as you get higher up the levels, you see, your assets get bigger and more beautiful and can cover more plots and grants. You've got this white castle you can build at level 7 Arcadia, whereas you're stuck with shrubs on level 1 and 2. So yeah, it's all land specific and levels specific. So it's very much got that World of Warcraft grind to it. So the last 2 days we've released all the ways to earn lava, or half of them. Lava is this off-chain value you get from if you visit here or you explore here or you beat this person, you go up the level. So we're trying to really put that addictive sort of, what's the word, intermittent reinforcement sort of ideas into keeping players engaged there.
All right, great. So there is another thing that I would like to discuss, and it's about the economy before we move on some other questions. In our conversations and from what I read, I understand that VulcanVerse, and not only VulcanVerse but Vulcan Forged, is a play-to-earn ecosystem. It's an ecosystem where players will come and earn something back for their time, either tokens or non-fungible tokens or whatever. So how does your native currency peer works in combination with lava, and what players can do to actually earn by playing your game, and more specifically earn by not spending any money?
Lava is basically the life source of all our games. I mean, even by logging in, you get a bit of lava. Now, there are 50 million peer tokens in circulation. I think one peer is $3.50 at the moment.
Yes, right now. That's right very scarce.
Yeah, very
50
scarce.
million is a very low supply for
it is.
Bitcoin is 21.
That's right, yeah, but you can use decimals and all that stuff. So we've pledged to add 200,000 of these peer tokens every month to the lava pool. So, I mean, what you're looking at there is like $15 million worth of play to earn economy over 2 years. Now, what this does is it drives an enormous amount of momentum into the games. And you know, as I said, we released 100 ways you can sort of earn this lava. The more fights you win, the more land you build, the more engagement. So you can actually play the game without even buying land. We have these things called portals where you use someone's land, enter it, and then you could walk around with your free Vulcanite, level 0 dragon newt or some undead rat. And
these free.
These are free, yeah.
These free Vulcanites are going to be non-fungible tokens?
No, they're not. They're off-chain. All right. You can't sell them. It's just an easy access point for someone. So in theory, they could go in with a rat, forage around for 4 days,
the corpse rat.
The corpse rat, yes, the corpse rat. And they could maybe find an NFT by foraging or win a fight, luckily, and then they've got some lava. And, oh, hang on, that's just made me a bit of money because I've gone up the play-to-earn leaderboard. And then they could use that to maybe buy land and then maybe buy a new Vulcanite. So in theory, you could possibly become a level 7, 20 level 7 plot owning, White Castle owning, dragon flying, Elysium accessing puny mortal, if you play enough. And we are, without doubt, and I can say this without doubt, the biggest play-to-earn economy across all of blockchain games. I know there are some great ones out there. Axie Infinity, for example, have a good model, but we've really got overboard with our play-to-earn because, it's just more fun, isn't it? If you can win some money, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose this turn gaming careers on. Like, we all have been gamers, right, for so many years, but have you actually earned something by gaming? Like, my father was right. You're spending your time wrong. You don't play games.
Yeah, well, we can tell them now, But people are generally, we heard the story about some Filipino farmers, I think, were being paid to sort of farm an Axie Infinity, and they were making a hell of a lot of money, just by doing this. And so we do wonder, will VulcanVerse bring out a lot of people just dedicated to farming these NFTs? I mean,
probably will.
Yeah, I guess it will. I mean, $500 for an NFT, you sell that is a salary in some countries.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story of in the 90s when I worked for IDOS, computer game company in Britain, of I think it was Ultima Online, and this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there's a guy who earned about, I don't know, an average of $40,000 a year by employing 2 people to wander around the Ultima Online world, finding special items and then selling them on a marketplace to other players for real money.
And they weren't NFTs, were they?
They weren't NFTs. They were just like, +6 magic sword, go for whatever. So he actually employed 2 people to spend all day long wandering around finding magic items in the virtual world and made a decent salary from that.
Yeah,
that was before NFTs and Bitcoin and all of that. So
yeah. And well, now it's that basically on steroids, because these things are just sort of physical assets. I mean, some NFTs are going cryptocurrency, are going for like tens of thousands in assets. So you can see this is the future, I think, play to earn economies. But on the flip side, it makes it a lot harder and a lot more pressure on us to kind of what's the word? Not supervise. Just keep an eye on things, monitor. That's the word, monitor how people are acting. When real money's involved and that you can earn money from walking around VulcanVerse or trading with someone, people are going to abuse it. And that's the only flip side to this.
It's one thing when people complain in MMOs about players who come on and they're hackers and they just instantly kill you from the other side of the map because they've got some cheat code that they put in. But when that's one thing, but if it's real money, you can't allow that. You can't have that. You've got to have real proper corporate governance, I was going to say, but it's not really corporate so much as just proper ethical governance of the game.
There is, and if it's real money, you do get some serious people in. And that's why we've introduced Larvo, which is like an off-chain thing. It's not cryptocurrency, so we can dock people points. If we see people are abusing the system over a month, then of course they don't get their monthly reward. So it's a nice little balance between centralized and decentralized.
Well, I've been creating a little Dark Lord Goblin minion app that will sneak into the VulcanVerse, steal everyone's peer. All 50 million peer will be mine. Actually, is it going to be peer or pyre?
Well, this is the debate in the community we have every day. Natively, it should be peer. My wife says peer, and the Greeks say peer, but it should be pyre for the English. So, yeah. How Vulcan? Yeah, I call it peer. A lot of people say pyre. It means
and that's the currency we use in the Gamebooks too, and we have these other things. Yeah, we changed it all to peer. It's not real. It's just, but in Gamebooks, you'll have gold pieces or shards or whatever. And then we also have plenty of lava gems that have special powers. Yeah. So it's sort of tying.
So we're both sort of stealing each other's ideas back and forward till we have this perfect creation. It's perfect.
Well, yeah. That's the point, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So for some reason, my mic wasn't working before, so I'm back. And
so we were just talking.
You were just talking. I was hearing you. So, like you said before about the cheating and all that stuff when it comes to the economy in games. And to be honest, let's be honest. Okay, I'm doing this 3 years. I've seen most of the players are not players; they're crypto investors. That's a fact that goes through the whole blockchain gaming industry. And that's because, first of all, it's crypto. And then it's because we don't actually have real games yet. I mean, you do have like Axie Infinity, which is a very simple in a way game. And you see that people like in Philippines or Indonesia are playing Axie Infinity because the dollar has a great value there. Like what you would say, that's not good money for me. It's good money for them. And you see them like they are jumping into other games right now. If you, for example, take Alien Worlds, I think they scored like 400,000 players the past week, which is like world record, and it's just a clicker game. So when we have games like VulcanVerse that simulate a real economy in massive multiplayer games, all these games, including VulcanVerse and all the other upcoming MMORPGs, which are not many, I think there are 2 or 3 in total. And I'm talking about real games, right? Not clicker games. These all are going to be massive. They're going to be massive, and because of that, people will try to find ways to exploit this, to exploit the economy. That's a fact. And most probably some of them will succeed. Now, let's be honest, you can't always predict everything. No. But it's very interesting to see how this will play out as like we are walking into uncharted areas now.
No, we are. You're right. And this whole play to earn on blockchain as well, where you can't take things back. You know what I mean? If someone gets some money off blockchain, it's theirs. And so we give out these prizes and these play to earn rewards without checking. It's we're the losers really at the end of the day. So yeah, I agree. I think this is the future, but I think it is uncharted territories. So luckily, Vulcan is looking after us with his hammer. And we'll be fine.
I mean, take a look at the mainstream MMORPG games for like Lineage. People are farming Adena. I think it's called Adena. They're farming Adena, which is the in-game currency, and they're selling these for dollars, which is illegal basically. None of these games allows you to sell items or money to external markets. If they find out, you are gonna get banned, and that's. And I know a lot of people who got banned. Like a lot of my friends who were playing Lineage with me, they decided one day to sell their character, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. And their character was worth for like $5,000, $10,000. I'm talking about like insane prices back then. And they weren't allowed to do this. But now, with NFTs and blockchain games,
it's courage, isn't it?
It's what you're after for.
Yeah,
it's something that the game approves it. So we are talking about massive economies. And I believe that VulcanVerse will become massive from what I've seen so far.
Great. Cool, yeah. Good to hear. I'll pay you later for that.
And talking about massive, Jamie, are we going to see Peer getting listed on any exchange? Like, I won't say Binance, but an exchange?
Yes. I'm not saying yes to that name, but yes, we have got tier 1 exchanges lined up. So obviously we can't say the names because it will screw it up. So
no, okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, that's good to hear, because like Peer has a very. I'm watching Peer since it came out on Uniswap at 40 cents, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very healthy chart. It's growing very steadily, and that's great. No pumps, no dumps. It's just growing without being listed in any exchange. So that's massive.
Yeah, well, we did really sort of cater to the gamers only for that. The people who are involved in VulcanVerse got first stabs on Peer, and they want to use it. They want to level their land and play with it. So that's why I think there's no real massive fluctuations there, which I think was a good choice in the end. Hopefully.
All right. Now
I have to confess that I don't really quite know what this cryptocurrency stuff is. I've been working with it now for I don't know how long is it, 6-9 months at least, but I don't really know what it is. I own some.
Magic internet money.
Just
don't lose it. Just don't lose.
Don't lose. Don't lose it.
Got a cryptocurrency wallet. I don't know, with some NFTs in it. I have no idea really what.
I believe
I invented the names of them.
It's the future. Cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens. I mean, think about that. One day, your house will be an NFT. The deed, the contract you have signed with the government. It will be a non-fungible token, and if you sell the token, you sell the house. As simple as that. No bureaucracy, no nothing. So we are walking toward great stuff. All right, Jamie. Now, you said that there are some games on Vulcan Forged. I believe there are like 8 or 9 games right now. Most of them are some like mini games. Are we going to see more games coming in? And what type of games can someone build on Vulcan Forged?
Yeah, well, you can build any game you want. If you want to make an NFT game, you've got mini dragons, battling babies, Telegram, a role-playing game. So anything with NFTs you can build with us. But personally, we've made Berserk, which is like a kind of like a Hearthstone game, which is playable now. And other Jamie's just spilled the beans about the Titanomachy game we're releasing with Titans versus Olympians. But no, for third parties, if you can NFT it, then you can come to us and make it. I mean, it benefits us to have more games anyway, because they see all of our different see VulcanVerse, and the bigger our community comes, the more use cases there are for our marketplace, and more fees we can steal, etc. So yeah, more the merrier. If you want to get involved, just join us on Discord, .gg/VulcanVerse, or yeah, you'll find us if you Google us, and we'll be happy to get you started. Or bribe us, that usually helps.
All right, you heard you guys join Discord. It's a very engaged community. And Jamie, these games, I believe, are made on Unity, right?
Yeah, we got some mobile games come out, but yeah, Unity, VulcanVerse is in Unity 3D, yeah.
All right, great. So now there is something that came to my attention a few weeks ago, the Vulcanites. What I saw was basically from what you told me that Vulcanites go way much more than land, which I've never seen that in a game. So what about Vulcanites? What is a Vulcanite? How we can use it in the whole ecosystem besides VulcanVerse? And we're talking about interoperability here, right? We're talking about the mini multiverse, which is very fascinating.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about an NFT is that once you have it, it's yours. It's one unique thing. So our Vulcanites you can use across all our games. So they could be your heroes in Berserk, or they could be your foragers in VulcanVerse, or they could be in this Forge Arena. It's kind of like Dota 2 auto battle game we've got. You can use them in there. So they are very much cross game in that way. So in VulcanVerse, of course, we animate them. They can forage and attack, and you can level them up with lava. And so once you've got this base NFT token of what they are, edition 250, you can use that same edition 250 in all of the games. So yeah, Vulcanites was a great way for us to separate land ownership and gameplay. Some people just want to build or sit on their land, whereas they don't want to be sort of attacked by some hairy ass minotaur from Boreas. So the Vulcanites are a way of us channeling all the gameplay through them. Avatars don't fight, for example. It's all done through the Vulcanites. They're cross game, and you can do things with them. You can level them up by adding lava to their attack stats. They will have different buffs and special skills that Jamie's helped write, and of course they've all got deep lore. And I never really realised how important that is to a character. Instead of just throwing in like some random demon, give it a name, a quote, a little backstory to it, and they become far more interesting.
And they appear in the Gamebooks, of course.
Yes.
So Dark Lord,
a novel one day.
I guess that Vulcanites are your idea, right?
Well, the idea of the creatures themselves were
the creatures, right?
The Vulcanites. There are Vulcanites. James asked. I was asked to give them names and backstories. So, and then, as we talked about before, Jamie will say we need a level 6 Vulcanite for the desert, and I'll come up with something from Greek myth and give it a name and its own backstory and only a paragraph or two, and to give it some background reality, so it feels like a real creature. And we also, you remember Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's like that sort of idea that you have a card with a little quote on it that gives it a bit of flavour. So it's a lot of fun to be had from the quotes about the kind of behaviour that these creatures like to do. Usually eating the flesh of humans. Well, when they're from Hades, I suppose. When they're from Arcadia, they're a bit nicer. Well, having said that, we put a dryad in who's pretty buffed and savage looking.
Well, she did, yeah. Jimmy made us. That's the trouble. You give Jimmy, our artist, a level 0, and it comes out looking like a level 7. And we
he can't help.
He can't help.
Fangs and swords.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just a little rat, and he makes this big beastly undead Hades corpse trap comes up. It happened. Yeah. We realised that was Sota the deer. The idea was Sota the deer was going to be a level 0, just a Bambi in Arcadia, and of course he makes it like king of the deer. It's like this.
He's now the stag king who protects the other herds of deer in Arcadia. Yeah. The name though is, I can't remember why I came up with that name, but they're all taken from Greek myth. So Sota will be something.
Well, Arcadia is it's a place in Greece, basically.
It is also
Arcadia, yes. So it's
I had no idea. All right.
Yeah, it's
quite
somewhere
a few
in
crossovers.
Peloponnesus, I think. I don't know.
It's also a mythological golden age, and it's also a real place. Like the Acheron River in Hades is the river of woe, and there's a real Acheron River in Greece, with an entrance that they believed, the ancient Greeks, was an entrance into Hades, or the underworld.
Well, I knew Hades existed, and I guess Boreas, but what about Sino and all those kind of random names you came up with?
Well, that one is just a made-up one.
All right, yeah, okay.
But she is a daughter of Ariadne. There's a Greek myth about how spiders are created when she's turned into a spider by Athena. So they're all rooted in real Greek mythology, but we've sort of taken them and given them a VulcanVerse twist, bring them up to date a bit.
Guys, so basically you stake lava on the Vulcanites and they upgrade level.
Kind of. You put lava to level up the Vulcanites. Staking pier is different. That's how you level up land. So you stuff a load of these coins into land, and that gives you returns every month. And and also gives you access to a high level land. So it's like a very, very generous building society. For those that don't know what staking is. So yes, you put pier into the land, and you get more pier back every month from a staking pool. But lava is used to level up the stats of the Vulcanites. And of course, the higher level the Vulcanite is, you can sell it for more, ideally. And of course, we've made these cool animated cards now that where if you max out the Vulcanite completely, this animation comes alive. Yeah.
The Vulcanites are ERC 721.
VIP 181s. Our NFTs are still on VeChain. I mean, we'll probably be moving eventually, but we'll see. We're obviously our economy is on Polygon. But yeah, exactly the same thing, just a different blockchain. And obviously peers on Ethereum and Polygon.
Yeah, to better understand, you basically stake that lava inside, you don't burn it.
Lava is not stakeable, it's burnable. It's an off-chain value lava. Yeah, peer is our coin. Yeah, it's burnable. So it allows us to sort of, give out lava for prizes, that doesn't mean much. It allows them to level up and things. But peer is actual real tokens, That's the stuff you stake in the land and you get back. You take out whenever you want, but you use that level. And you've got to sow the land for 20 days before it upgrades to stop people just sowing it and selling it. So it's all been thought out quite well. But there's so much to it, and we haven't documented it enough, really. It's because we just focus on development so much. There's so much lore and gameplay and mechanics and economy that, a lot of people are getting a little bit overwhelmed when they come for the first time. So that's our main priority right now, is to kind of streamline the process a bit better from what the hell is VulcanVerse to, okay, I want to play the game. But that will come with time, I'm sure.
Okay, so guys, help me understand something here. VulcanVerse is going to be like World of Warcraft, for example. Am I going to see somewhere and be able to PvP with him?
Big question. I can't say we're going to be World of Warcraft, but we're moving that way. And there's nothing, to be honest, there's nothing stopping us in terms of resource and ambition to kind of push that way. But, where does it end? I mean, we did start originally just as like, no quadrants, then we had quadrants, then we had Vulcanites, now we've got foraging, fighting, quests and crafting and create your own quests. So it's already becoming an enormous MMO without us even trying, even though the avatars don't fight amongst each other. Because it's blockchain, you can actually set your own quest and people can earn PYR peer by doing things like that. So I don't know, it's more on the virtual world existing within a fantasy world than it is an MMO where you just go out there to beat people and fight and do all that. So we don't want to lose that element of existing and owning your land,
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the lore, but I believe there's going to be some hate between the quadrants. Or no? I'm like, some people will try to kill others.
There already is. In Discord, you already have the little skirmishes.
Really?
Hades and Arcadia. Hades and Arcadia are head-to-head right now. Of course, I play it neutral. I've got my favourite quadrant, but I would never, ever reveal it. I've got to behave and be diplomatic as a Vulcan City dweller.
Yeah, you have to stay in Vulcan City.
will be in the center, right? It's a neutral zone.
Yes. That was the best zone.
Technically,
really.
it's another quadrant, really. Or can you own land in Vulcan City?
Well, it can't be a quadrant 4 because quadrant means 4, doesn't it?
Or be what's the? I was trying to think. A pentarant.
A pentarant, No. Anything red you can't own, so we need to decorate that. But you have to go to Vulcan City to kind of trade the craft material, and you pick up wood. It's a long story. I won't go too much into it. But you get blueprints, and to build the asset, you need 5 wood, 10 iron, and you can trade that craft with people in Vulcan City. So that
marketplace admin center.
Yeah, and it's cool, and it's big, and it's grand, and you want to live close to the city, the capital city. So I think that was the most expensive plot sold from around there, which was, I think today's vet value is about 80 grand now, $80,000 or something.
It's just like Mayfair
that's
in
a
London.
good amount of
Monopoly,
money, right?
Yeah, Mayfair in London. Yeah, that's what Vulcan City is.
Yeah.
From what I saw in the marketplace, there is a lot of money trading there. Like, you talk about millions before. There are going to be inside VulcanVerse, players will trade through the marketplace, or they will trade through shops inside the game. Like, if you want to buy a sword, you're going to have to find that shop inside the game. Or they will just go to the auction house.
Yeah, I mean, you can open up a Vulcan market from the game. It's just like there's a plugin that allows you to open up the market within VulcanVerse. So it's just like, I mean, you can, for normal NFT trading, for off-chain material trading, we just do that as in we would any game. You trade 5 wood for 3 iron. Now, in terms of opening shops, we're going to do it. It's not there yet. We love the idea of people opening, their own blacksmith in Hades and sort of selling their own, dark swords.
Yeah, you did a piece lately about how to run a store on your blog.
Yeah, exactly. And that itself is just a whole another world. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not overwhelmed, because I am, because we're creating the tools to make an economy in a virtual world, real money and all this stuff. You don't know how it's going to pan out. Will there be genuine rivalries? Will this shop start competing with this other Hades shop? Two blacksmiths open next to each other and have a fight in the real life. My axe is better than your axe.
Yeah, and sending Vulcanites to do each other over, and then suing each other in the real world.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not.
That could happen. All right, now let me see if we have any questions from the viewers. I believe we do have some. So they say here, will the Gamebooks, Dark Lord, that's for you, will the Gamebooks be dependent on the video game, or can you play the Gamebooks alone? I think you can.
You'll be able to play the Gamebooks alone. There'll be some little Easter eggs that only open up in the Gamebooks if you've played the MMO, but they won't be critical to the missions or to the main narrative storyline. So yeah, you could play either of them, separately. You don't need to own both. Although obviously we want you to play in both and send me donuts.
All right. Thank you. Yep, I see here the users confirm what you said here. So I have a strange question. Jamie, do you know Percy Jackson? Who's Percy Jackson?
This is some bloody character from a book. I was on an interview the other day, and someone asked me about Percy Jackson, and I hadn't a clue who it was, and I said, "Oh, this person doesn't exist." And
well, actually, it's a novelist, a YA novelist called Rick Riordan, and he wrote these series of books about Percy Jackson. And there's some films, and they're all using Greek mythology in the modern world. So I think Hades is in it, and so is a few of the other gods, and they wander around in like trainers and jeans and live in the modern world.
So you know about it, you see? Okay, so you've heard of it?
Yes, a few years ago. Yeah. But they're not really related to what we're doing.
No.
Lucy's sense that it's Greek mythology. But
it's mythology. It's the same with additions. It's just mythology.
Yeah. So Rick Riordan took the Greek myths and made them his own, and we've done the same thing and made them VulcanVerse versions.
VulcanVersified.
I think there's a film, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I had to Google it after that entire embarrassment of the interview. You know,
I think Steve Coogan was in it as one of the gods or something.
I don't know.
He's an English comedian, TV guy. Actually lives very near me.
Oh, no, I know Jim Carrey, comedian. You know. Okay, so Jamie, Walter Chambers is asking, what are the benefits of owing gods? Here's something that we didn't discuss. Gods. What are the benefits of owing gods versus owing Vulcanites?
Well, gods can be used across the entire Vulcan Forged ecosystem. So if you own like a level 1 god, it gives you 10% off marketplace fees, 10% quicker lava generation, and they go up to 7 levels too. So of course our artists have made like a baby Zeus, and you level it up to level 7 Zeus. And the higher the level the gods go, the more perks you get, like better fees off the marketplace, higher lava, and of course they do get their own in-game buffs. So I think today we released, who was it? The buffs of, oh bugger, it was Ares yesterday. Oh, Cous, whatever, the one with the third eye, the god of wisdom and intelligence. And having a Cous gives you the ability to see other avatars' stats, other Vulcanite stats. But yeah, the gods are more sort of general. They help your earning over all the Vulcan Forged ecosystem.
You can feed them per, can't you?
Yeah, you have to again grow them. Yeah, they grow for 20 days from baby to toddler to teenager, and
I think I've got a baby Aphrodite somewhere in my wallet.
Yes, I sent you one. Yeah, which is probably worth. I think it's worth a few K now, actually. So hold on to that. Yeah.
I'll have to grow her.
I guess gods are more scarce than Vulcanites, right?
I think so. It depends on the edition. Like Asterion is only 50 of him, and he's level 5. So in theory, Asterion should.
So Asterion is a god and not a Vulcanite?
No, he's a Vulcanite.
He's a Minotaur. I think he was the original creator of the Minotaurs, one of the myths. First. Asterion first. There's often several different characters from Greek myth with the same name. Do different things. So Asterion was the founder of the Minotaurs.
Yeah. So anything sort of hairy and Minotaur looking is certainly a Vulcanite. Any creature is, really.
You gotta use these Vulcanites in game, like first player experience. Is this going to be the player, or Vulcanites will follow you like pets or something?
Oh, they follow you like pets. I mean, you should play again in Hades. You can go to the Vulcanite menu and bring them out, and you can set them to forage, attack, just follow you, sleep. You know, they're basically, you have 2 active ones, and they do what you want. You can go around picking fights like a bully, or you can just sort of, get them spying on other plots. They've got a load of functions, and depends on their skills as well. And that's another thing gods do, that they buff up, like Ares. If you have the god Ares and you have a Vulcanite, it will give it more power in fighting, an extra percentage on buff. So I guess the more I talk about it, the more I realise it is definitely swaying towards the game MMO area.
Can't you also buy more and more development tools to give you more? How does that work?
What, you mean assets?
Well, I thought there was when you first buy some land, you could do some limited stuff to that land, carve out, make a lake and things. But can't you get access to more powerful tools?
Yeah, as you go up the levels, you can build higher, build lower, color the water. If you have Poseidon and Oceanus, for example, you can change the color of the water. It's basically the more you spend time and go up the levels, the more you can build and do.
Yeah.
All right, we do have some more questions coming in. So guys, if you have like any gaming questions, now is your chance to ask. Here is a bit technical one. How will the game servers handle heavy player load?
Well, that's more of a techie question, really. But we did screw up, to be honest, in the alpha. We didn't really expect it because we had one big server, and we had to be pushed back development 2 months over this new strategy. It involves sharding and lots of different servers, and you sort of you allocate only a little bit of the map to users, and as opposed to putting everything in one place. But we spent a bit more doing it and hired some more networking teams to sort of help with it. But we finally solved it actually. So now we've got 400 times better performance than the first version. So, but that's too technical a question for me, I'm afraid. I just sit here and talk.
All right. So, what has been the toughest feature to implement? I think it says implement so far.
I think
blockchain, maybe.
Yeah, I think hiring Jamie as an author was probably the hardest and most difficult decision for us. Having to speak to him every day.
Yeah. I thought that implies you're going to pay me.
Yes. No, because people will read this and think that I'm not paying you, and then before you know it,
I'm just chained. He's put these creatures behind me to make me work all day long. These skulls and
these bloody interviews with you, Jamie, are the most difficult things, I think.
Yes.
No, it's all. I wouldn't say anything really, because I don't do most of the tech work. I mean, I think keeping the community engaged is going to be the most important thing, not the hardest thing. Most important.
Just getting the whole thing started, really.
Yeah, of course. Getting it off the ground, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of faith, really, from a lot of the community members of Borderland, because at the beginning it was just, a lot of green and red squares, and we had the engine developed and some ideas, and I could have just been a nutcase and just sort of run off with all the loot and done nothing. But it turned out it was quite a good step for me.
Okay, so we have, as I can see, 2 more questions here, and I have one. And Jamie, inferior Jamie, which is the most sold NFT in the marketplace? Which NFT is the one that everyone wants? Armega asks.
It's Zeus and Cronus, definitely. I mean, there's no more in circulation. They're all in circulation. I mean, all 100 Zeus and all 100 Cronus have been won or bought or somehow, and they're the strongest of all the gods. They can stake 3 land instead of 1. They have the highest buffs, and it's very rare you see one on the marketplace right now. I think I say Zeus and Cronus are probably the most sought after. Second to that, Asterion, the bull, because he's the strongest Vulcanite so far. So those 2, I'd say, the high gods.
All right, for now, this stuff changes. Nils Blankley says, are party quest lines going to be a thing here? Like doing party quests, maybe?
I don't know what he means there, party quest lines.
Probably he means doing quests along with friends, like quests that... Yes,
I don't see why not. I mean, we've got everything in place now for that. You can make your own quests, and we can set quests. You can make friends in the engine. So I guess it's just 2 and 2 equals 4 eventually. I mean, we haven't done it yet, but there's no reason why we can't. So yes, I suppose.
All right. And Newswolf says, will there be NPCs and what their role will be?
Yeah, there will be. We decided that a couple of weeks ago, and actually, I think other Jamie, is going to do the voiceover for a few of them. We are going to have NPCs, and and then
they'll all be going.
Yeah,
that's a good voiceover.
You're not going to do the Arcadia ones. That's
destroy them all.
And then, so they'll be telling stories and lore and passing on quests, and we are going to put them in because we're going to set our own quests, like the Vulcan's quests we can earn here. And some of them will involve going to landmarks, hearing a sort of clue from an NPC, very much similar to the Gamebooks, but obviously, not choose your own adventure, go to plot here, learn this from the orc, go to there, and yes, absolutely. In fact, we're building 2 worlds now, Elysium and Tartarus. I think it's called Tartarus. And there are some NPCs in Tartarus, NPCs in there floating around. So yes.
All right. So this is a question for you, Jamie, CEO. Like, where do you see blockchain gaming in 5 years from now? That's a question I always ask.
I think it will be. I think it'll be standard. I think it will be absolutely standard. And I think Magic the Gathering were already talking today, actually, about putting their cards as NFTs. I know it's the season of NFTs right now, but I think
huge.
I think ownership, when everyone realizes you can own something on blockchain. I think people still don't have a clue what blockchain is yet, but I think blockchain gaming will be the standard. If you can't prove who owns it or tokenize it, I think games will probably go to the wayside. So, okay, I'm a bit biased maybe, but I think now people realize about NFTs and what they are. It'll be the default for most games.
Right. So, Dark Lord, from what you've seen so far in cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens, what is your opinion? What do you think about the future of that kind of stuff?
Well, I don't really know what an NFT is.
Well, you can sell them.
I get an idea. Yeah. I think it's going to be very important for CCGs in the future. There's a lot of those, from Hearthstone to Magic, and quite a few in between. I could see them all having part of that sort of technology available in their games. But I'm not sure that you're going to really need NFT so much in the single player market. I can see why multiplayer games, which a lot of games are these days, certainly shooters and that kind of thing, would go down the NFT route in one shape or form. Especially, like, I was just playing the other day Call of Duty World War II.
Classic one.
And also Battlefield 5. I just had a double World War II itch. Having played many hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey to make sure I was entirely immersed in Greek myth. But those are all examples of games where you collect things. And there's also
they'll probably NFT eventually. Are you saying they have it? Yeah.
They're not NFTs yet, but you'll get your special unique melee weapon or whatever it is. And there's also the interesting thing of what Assassin's Creed Odyssey did with screenshots. So you're in the game and you take because it looks so amazing, you take a photo, and then other people can see that photo of the in-game world. And those could be NFTs and become tradable. So there's all sorts of ways that haven't yet been discovered or explored, but for multiplayer games. But for a single player online not online, just single player RPG, I'm not sure they'd have much use in that. But that's okay. It's multiplayer where all the. You imagine Red Dead Redemption and you get your own NFT handgun. That would be great.
Yeah.
With your name on it. The potential is unexplored as yet.
Correct, unexplored. All right, guys. So I would like to thank you for being with me today and doing this. It was amazing to talk to you. And I would like to thank our viewers also, the Vulcan Forged community and the e-gamers community, for tuning in. This was a very pleasant experience, being able to talk with these two great Jamies.
There's only one great Jamie.
One. The other one's the Dark Lord. So, guys,
one of my minions here will say farewell.
Looking forward to your voiceovers.
Well, I can only do evil overlords. The evil ones. Voice I know. Yeah. Destroy all the wormlings. Enslave them all. That sort of thing.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Once again, it's a pleasure. And looking forward to see you again and discuss the next development stages of Vulcan Forged and VulcanVerse.
Great.
Okay. Nice talking
to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Farewell, humans. How do I turn that on?